Greenlit podcast. I am Sam, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host Alex, where we talk about the moving picture shows, the talkies. Alex, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Sam? How's your week?
Well, Alex, I'm tired because I was just in a job interview for the last hour, and I've been talking nonstop for an hour. And this is going to prove whether or not the David Fincher style of directing is effective. I have always hated the idea of the David Fincher style of directing, that somehow it takes the 91st take to get someone to be natural. I like the Sidney Lumet style. But I am so verbally exhausted that maybe I'll be proven wrong and he'll be right.
I'll hold you up. I'll hold you up. But it's funny you bring that up because it makes me think like, most normal people talking nonstop for 6 hours, they're going to be a little more raspy. So I wonder if there's a massive amount of ADR on those movies, because he does get the performance, but then they have to go back and be like, Mark Ruffalo is like, hey man, like there might be that issue. And he accounts for it later. Like, oh, that's okay. We got plenty of ADR.
I'm going to
you can do every syllable.
I'm going to expose myself a little bit here. Lifelong movie lover.
Pan down.
Yeah. Say what?
Pan down.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly. I am in sweatpants. So as long as I loved movies, I found out fairly late about ADR, that was even a thing. And I got to say, I was disappointed. There was something that struck me in my heart about it.
It's like cheating.
It's just, it seems inauthentic. You want to know that the take on set is the take you're also hearing.
Yeah. Well, that's funny about that is when I learned it, you know how you have a certain amount of movies that you could almost recite verbatim. You know every little quirk, every little pause, every little even like hiccup and like mistake. Like John Carpenter movies, like I know when the lens flare is coming. So like when you learn some of the craft stuff, you in your head, you're like, that's why that one famous line in that one famous movie sounded different. You could perceive what it was, but you didn't know why, and you didn't question it. You're just like, no, all right, the 70s, they had different tape stock or whatever, But
especially when you hear that line over the back of someone's head, you don't see the person saying it, and you're like, oh, like that. There's something about knowing that someone is in a studio, a recording studio, like trying to mimic what he said on set, that I found deeply disappointing. I'm over it now, but it was a big moment for me.
It gets weirder because then you have stories of famous. Sometimes they're comedians, sometimes they're what used to be known as like improvisational artists or professional impersonators. Rich Little, if anybody remembers that name, people that work in Vegas and they just do like man of 1,000 faces, or man of 1,000 voices, and an actor will pass. And God forbid mid-production or maybe right after, and they miss the ADR post phase, and they hire a sound-alike. And it's kind of like, whoa. And you realize everything, that's why they call it movie magic, because what is magic? It's not real. It's entirely false. The people doing it know that they're tricking you, a magic trick. And so everything in a frame needs to be questioned. A good example of that would be when you have no money and you're a production designer, you're obviously going to use as much as possible, like real locations and, this lady like kind of has a kitschy vibe. Maybe we'll just leave everything in place. And the thing about it is though, when you meet smart ones, they'll be like, well, what are your shots? And some directors don't know those shots. They want to shoot the whole scene. They want to have 2 cameras, 3 cameras. They want to cover every angle. That creates hell for the production design team, because they have to design an entire 360 space. When you know where you're shooting, literally they'll just be like, all right, well, what's your frame line? And so they'll build a cabinet that's literally like 1/8 of an inch longer than your exact frame line, because they're like, great, we just saved a bunch of lumber, we saved a bunch of labor, we saved time. And it's literally like that Homer Simpson meme of he's standing there like all fit and like thin, to Marge, and then you cut to the reverse shot, and there's a bunch of clips holding his fat back. That's exactly what wardrobe does. That's exactly what the fashion industry does when you're doing a photo shoot. What is the actual angle that's being captured? Everything else doesn't matter. It's like, you know, what flats are, right? So you have a building and it looks like a building, but if you come around the back, it's literally just a piece of cardboard with some supports to it, right? Like if you remember, what was it, the Outlaw Josie Wales, where they built a fake town, like, you know, or like the Indiana Jones opening scene where he's in a nuclear city that's meant to be blown up. Like it's just fake.
Wait,
you know,
which one is that? Which Indiana Jones is that?
Oh God. It's the one with the crystal, the super crystal or whatever.
We're talking
the
old
alien
man,
one.
Old man Indiana
We're
Jones.
talking grumpy, crotchety Harrison Ford, but not.
We don't talk about
80-year-old Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, excuse me. Just FYI, that scene apparently, because I was just listening to something about Back to the Future, that was going to be the original way that the time machine worked. That it was in a refrigerator. Somehow it required the force of a thermonuclear, like, right? Yeah, so they were stuck in the 50s, and they were like, how do we get 3.5 gigawatts or whatever gigawatts? And they're like, let's go to Nevada.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that literally was like their solution. And two problems with that. One is in the 70s and 80s, a lot of kids died by suffocation because they would get into old abandoned refrigerators with those latches.
Oh shit.
And be like, and so that's why refrigerators now just have that sort of soft, like, magnetism. That's literally, like, people die in the same way that, like, dry cleaner bags still have, like, do not put over your head.
Right.
So, that was going to be the device to create the power. So that scene, Spielberg obviously was the producer of that film, and he's like, I'm going to get that scene, whether by hook or by crook. Meaning, like, it's all false. And I get your sense of, like, hey, that messes with my, like, you know, you're almost religious about your love with film, and I am too, and I'm assuming our audience is. And but I go the reverse. I don't go, oh, you're inauthentic, you're lying to me, you're tricking me. I go, like, how the fuck did they make that little puppet look like King fucking Kong? You know, like going back to the silent film era, or the early, you know, special effects. And so it's almost like, oh shit, you guys, not only are you tricking us, it's such a good trick. I'm looking at it when, you know, like, for example, I made a movie with Luke Wilson. Well, Luke Wilson costs a lot of money. And so we didn't get we got all his like face shots and his, you know, pointed whatever, but we did not get reverses and stuff, you know? So I had to dress up an extra in his outfit and and literally we didn't have money for extras. So I just went through the crew and I'm like, let me see the back of your head. No, back of your head. No. Oh, maybe. Put the jacket on. No, put the jacket on, and sit him in the you know, the dirty over of like this over the shoulder shot. Yeah. And even in the room, I'm like, oh, we're so fucked. This doesn't look anything.
Weren't. When I watched High Voltage, I did not say to myself, those are broader shoulders than Luke Wilson's.
Yeah, and that's why, because that's not where you're looking.
Right.
You're looking where you're looking. The light is telling you where to look. The framing is telling you where to look. And so everything else is suspect. It could be green screen. It could be, you know what I mean, a flat. It could be whatever. And that's, ultimately that makes me love movies more. Like, how in the hell did you pull that off?
Trying to make this segue work. Speaking of
how in the hell did you pull that segue off?
Yeah. Speaking of trickery, today's movie was Black Bag, or as I like to call it, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy Future Copyright Infringement Lawsuit.
Where are you off to?
Black Bag.
To be with someone in this business, you each know what you know and you never discuss certain things. I would do anything for you.
Would you?
Yes.
We've got a breach.
One of our people stole something.
You cannot imagine the damage. Find the leak.
Give me 2 weeks.
Thousands of innocent people will die.
Okay, 1 week. Who's the suspect?
Your wife.
When you can lie about everything, how do you tell the truth about anything?
You think this is normal? The way you're doing this?
Maybe this is all your greatest game, George.
It's a very dangerous line of work.
I'll say.
Would you kill for me, George?
Oh, stop.
It's a spy movie.
It's a loving homage. It's not a cop. You're saying they copped it, and I'm saying it's a
they
loving
named
homage.
the character George. I mean, if you're gonna make a
what, you own the name now? Is that it? George is off the table.
You'd think that if you were gonna make a Star Wars ripoff, you wouldn't name the main character Luke. Like,
okay, well, stop
I
right
like
there.
the movie.
When you say it's genre versus individual, so what you're saying is, is it Le Carre or Le Carre?
I've always called him Le Carre. I actually don't know how it's
I've heard
pronounced.
both. So the author, John Le Carre, wrote a series of books. I think he was in the spy business for many years, kind of loosely based on his life. In the same way Ian Fleming was in naval intelligence and created James Bond. You see that a lot. And he wrote these incredibly influential books because it was the first time it wasn't James Bond. It was like working stiffs. It's hard but dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not glamorous. They're not, dashing. They're not getting the girl. They're just getting like knifed in an East Berlin alley, and it just kind of sucks. But it's like, holy shit, that's probably exactly how it really is, right? And so, but I would argue, so best in class, right? So another example would be like Lord of the Rings. He didn't invent any of that stuff. He looked and was influenced by this mythology, that culture's mythology, a little bit of Germanic, a little bit of, like elves and dwarves, and all that stuff existed in mythology for centuries. So, but he did it so well, it was like, that he owns that genre. And I'm just saying, like, High Noon's a great Western, The Searchers is a great Western, but that's not, there's Westerns.
Right. Yeah.
And there's spy thrillers and there's sci-fi. So, or science fantasy now, as they're saying, like Star Wars is not hard science, it's science fantasy because how the hell did they have gravity, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I agree, I'm like half agreeing with you. Like, there's a lot of that in here. I think it's part of like, they're definitely, all these filmmakers are in love with the genre.
Yeah.
Full stop.
I'm in love with the genre.
Yeah, me too. So like, Slow Horses would be my, closest equivalent. Like I just got a little buzz from my phone this morning. Slow Horses on. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. I got to clear my schedule. I love that show.
I actually have not watched it yet. And it's highly recommended.
Awesome. I've already watched it twice in preparation of this. So, of the new season, but, go and see it and tell me what you think. But basically it's the same kind of idea. All the loving touchstones of a great spycraft thriller with a grumpy, curmudgeonly, almost like a Columbo in the center of it, instead of like, a competent button down kind of George Smiley type cat. So it's that riff on a theme. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, we know what the catechism of a spy thriller is. It's got to be British. It's got to be MI6. It's got to be, right? So then
it's important you mention that. It's important you mention that. These this type of spy thriller, the George Smiley type, these are the antithesis of James Bond, right? So This is, instead of guys punching each other out, these are quiet, bureaucratic looking men, like, planning how to set people up from like tinted windowed offices
with like glasses that needed good cleaning and like, dental work from mid 70s British socials, medicine, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And right. Meaning to say that's a spy James Bond is a spy fantasy, right?
They're quite frankly action movies.
They're action movies with a little bit of like, well, who pays for all this? Oh, Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's like, okay. but it's a spy fantasy, right? Le Carre and some of the others. It's look in the film business, when you're pitching something like this, you either say it's a big splashy escapist thing versus it's a grounded thriller. You know, people take a bullet and they die. People take a pipe to the back of the head and they get a concussion. You know, it's not, it's trying to give us a sense of the laws of gravity, like this could be in our world. And despite its stylishness and its loving, you know, craft that Soderbergh always brings and David Koepp always brings and Fassbender, and it's just everybody in this is like firing all cylinders, but it's, I feel like it was grounded. It's based in a reality that I understand, which is they use satellites, they use Reaper drones, they use silent rooms for no bugging. They have high security at the headquarters. They have you know, shifting alliances. These are things that you could find at a you know, secondary law firm in Terre Haute, Indiana. Like, people are people. They're fucking each other at the office and don't tell the boss. They're, you know, coveting the job that Hanrahan passed over them for the big promotion. Like, it's all kind of human driven. It's just very slick and stylish. And Fassbender's a handsome motherfucker. And I always forget her name. Blanchett is like a sexy femme fatale, you know, so it's amplified yet like feels grounded.
Yeah. My official review of this movie is that this is good shit. Like, this hits the spot that Michael Clayton hits for me. This is good shit. You don't want to watch Schindler's List today, and you don't want to watch, I don't know, like True Lies, which by the way is a great movie. I'm not saying that as a derogative.
Spy fantasy.
Right. You want to watch something like that's like you'll be sucked in, but you don't have to really invest too much emotionally in, but that will get your old brain gears going. Like, this is good stuff. You know, you and I are both big fans of Andor, and my favorite,
very much that.
Yeah, my
it's
favorite
really
scenes in Andor are when the Intelligence Bureau are just talking in a circular room. I can just watch like bureaucrats talk for hours. There is something about bureaucratic speak that is so like hypnotic. This movie,
well, it's like that, to go on that example,
yeah.
He took, so let's examine the first film, Star Wars, you know, A New Hope.
Yeah.
So Gilroy has said, like, I'm not a fanatic. Like, I saw the first three movies once. Like, I'm aware of the phenomenon. He probably rewatched the first movie and he's like, you know, we could make a whole movie about this cat fighting in this fucking conference room.
And
you
it's
know,
the best scene.
Conference room 11 and sector 12 of the Death Star, because, and I think this is why it made me aware of the larger world that it's set in, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Luke is on a little planet. It kind of looks like it could be Modesto, California, where George Lucas grew up. Like, it's this, and now we can recognize, like, here's a bar where the bikers and the truckers hang out. Here's the whatever. But that scene was like the Emperor, the Galactic Senate, bureaucracy, you know, ruling by terror and not by electoral, you know, consent. It's like, holy fucking shit. And then Vader. So they're sniping to each other, these like the middle manager generals and admirals, and then Vader comes in, and then you add all that and this religion thing and this magic thing, you know, and like, holy shit, like, there's the larger world. You don't have to cut to Coruscant to show the Galactic Senate. You don't have to cut to some, you know, would probably have been the budget of that, you know, $11 million movie to show the larger universe of where it's taking place. It's all in the mind. And that's what I think Andor did as well. You have these great actors sniping with each other. They did real sets in Andor, which also helps ground us, like, oh, this feels like something that could actually be happening, right?
Yeah. You know, not to be too much of a conspiracy theorist, but that scene in A New Hope is so much better written than anything George Lucas has ever written that it makes me wonder if George Lucas wrote that scene. It does not fit with anything else he's ever written. I'm talking in terms of pure script writing, because it is that's a well-written scene. I'm sorry, I have this belief, dude, that George Lucas never had any of it planned, that he didn't know that, spoiler alert, Darth Vader was Luke's father. Like, I have this theory that he has been coasting forever on lies, that just this was just a little project he had in his head. So that scene is so well written, and to bring it back to Black Bag, something Black Bag does really well is the same thing.
Well, wait. You can't throw Star Wars at me and not let me respond to that. So,
go for it.
The writers of his movie before Star Wars that allowed it, he wanted to make Star Wars for a while. He wanted to actually make Flash Gordon and couldn't get the IP. Right. So lest we go, oh, well, he's the original IP. It's because he couldn't afford Flash Gordon from the King Features. So he made his own. Yeah. It's kind of Flash Gordon, but it's his own thing. And he had these two writers the fact check, get the engine room to call up the fact check, but it's a man and a husband and wife, I believe. And so on American Graffiti, it was a lot of improv, but they had these two writers that were there to really, they were very good at interpersonal stuff. So the whole character leaving home and the girlfriend wants to do long distance and he wants to break up, and like the real kind of poignant scenes that weren't just straight comedy came from this writing duo. Okay. And I believe it was William and Gloria Hayek or something. Anyway, so he brought them along on Star Wars because a lot of his trusted cohort was like, you know, George, you think your imagination is bigger than the universe and the creatures and the robots and even like how it all works and what a force field is versus a lightsaber. Like he had that all down. He's almost like an engineer in that sense. And I think like Christopher Nolan is kind of cut from that same cloth, a pre-visualized universe, even Ridley Scott. But he was never good, as indicated by all his friends and colleagues, with interpersonal dialogue. It felt very stilted. There's the classic Harrison Ford said, you can write this shit, but can you say it? And so he brought them in as ghostwriters on that one. And they did quote unquote like additional dialogue. A lot of what they're credited with was the Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher banter. You know, like you came here on this thing and all that kind of like, it looks like I have to rescue myself. You know, the real like fun, like snappy character stuff that made her like the new kind of like, I'm not a damsel in distress. You dudes are in distress. Like follow me, came from them. Okay. But I would even say like, this was Lucas humming, because if you read the original novelization, which is a nerd I did, he had that all worked out in his head. I would argue that's the only scene he wrote, because it's about the political intrigue, the governmental intrigue, and the fall of a republic into an empire, which you could argue that was like the pivot where they're like, the Galactic Senate no longer matters. Like, oh shit, they just went full autocracy, right? So that was the things that fascinated him. Was I want to do a fall of the Roman Empire. I want to do a Vietnam War analogy. He was, everybody always said, very political, very passionate, very aware of history. Like, so that I would argue that that's the only scene he did write. But like the character stuff that we love, they're like, who's going to fly it? You, kid? You know, like that make us love those characters. I think that's where the writing duo comes in. And just so you know, Paul, you said, oh, he just got lucky. He did not want the thrust of the third act was not that the Death Star had found the base and was going to blow it up, and it was a race to see who could destroy who first. That was created in the editing room by none other than Marcia Lucas, his wife and editor, who has also been credited as his secret weapon in all his films up until a certain point when they broke up. But she found that and said, "Hey, I think I found a way to just up the drama 700%." And they were like, "Holy shit, it works." So that's why they're kind of casual when they're looking at the battle. Like we hear the Death Star will shoot us dead in 30 seconds, and they're all kind of like, "All right, we can do this." Do you know what I mean? They're not going panic. No one's in the background like running or like we're dead. So anyway.
So
back to Black Bag.
Back to Black Bag. So speaking of world building, something that Black Bag does really well, which also Tinker Tailor did well, was they introduce enough terminology that they don't explain makes it so you don't need to know, which literally the term black bag is literally the things you can't talk about in the intelligence agency. So every time someone asks a question that someone else can't answer, they just go black bag, which is a great writing device because in this framework it works. So I call these mid-level budget dramas, kitchen sink dramas. These are movies for adults, probably produced, at a mid-level expense, and they used to make money. Soderbergh was pretty disappointed by the performance of this movie. He said, I got big stars, I made it sexy, and it still didn't work. And I find it terribly disappointing.
Wait, it didn't work financially?
Financially. Yeah, no, the movie works as a movie for sure. It didn't make the money he was hoping it would.
Yeah, well, he wanted so this was in the theaters.
Yeah.
Right. This film. And that was what they were going for. And I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh, I want to see that in the theater. And then life happened and I didn't. So I'm part of the problem. We're all part of the problem. We all constantly, guys like us, we're constantly talking about get back to the theater. My reverse analogy is 2 nights ago, we saw, Superman's on HBO. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get through 10 minutes of it. I saw it twice. I saw it twice in the theater.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this really diminishes as we go. But Black Bag does not. I think it'd be great on the big screen. I wish I went. I feel stupid now. I caught it later, and I caught it 3 times before you were like, hey, you ever heard of this movie Black? I'm like, fuck it, I'll do Black Bag all day. Are we allowed? And because we're trying to figure out like, what are we going to discuss? And it was in my back of my mind, I'm like, are we doing streaming content now? But it was a fucking theatrical movie and it wasn't that long ago. Yeah. It's just, that's the problem is that us adults are as like guilty as any other because we have lives. We have, you have kids, I have kids, we have stuff going on.
And we also know we don't have to wait that long. That if we miss it in theaters, it will be on TV soon.
I would tell anybody in charge, just change your windowing. You're getting the streamers are in the subdivisions of the company are getting so much power. They're like, well, we want it in like 2 weeks. It's like, no one's going to make it a priority if they know it's coming. Yeah. The windows now are a month. They used to be like 6.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a shame. I hope he's not disappointed because I think in the coming decades, like, this is going to be considered one of his best.
So here's a question. Is Michael Fassbender the new king of monotone? Something I'm noticing is that they are getting him in all these sort of spy, assassin, thriller roles that require a monotone. I actually really liked, was it called The Killer? What was the movie he just made with
Fincher, by the way? Fincher. We were just talking about Fincher.
But I like that movie quite a bit. Fassbender's great, man. In some ways, he is. I don't know if he's underrated or if the fact that the big budget movies he do, like the X-Men movies, maybe shadow the better work that he does, or like overshadow the better work that he does. But everybody in this movie kills it, including the young girl from Industry, which I like Industry a lot, the HBO show, and I thought this was she's sort of in Industry here, right? She's like a young. She's great in this. She's really good in this.
She's holding her own against some really great actors. So the Fassbender of it all, or as my friend calls her, Bossy, because he's like her movie crush. I love him. I became aware of him in the movie 300. And in that film, you'd have to go back and be like, oh, he was that guy. Long, shaggy hair, very sexy, very ripped. And he plays the young buck who's like, the sun will be blotted out with arrows. And he goes, then we'll fight in the shade. It's like best line of the movie, right? And he was like the wild man. He played it very big, he's like the young one who just wants to get some fucking blood. And you're like, oh, okay, he can do, let's say he can live on the Tom Hardy corner, if he needs to, like the madman kind of role. And then slowly but surely he's gone into these. Yeah, I'll tell you why he plays contained very well. It's because we perceive there's a madman that's barely bottled up inside there. At least that's what I imagine, right? He's not still, he's contained. Like at any moment it's going to come out. And they even hint that in the film, like, well, what would you do for your wife? I would kill. Like, you just get a sense like, oh, this guy, we don't want to see him take his glasses off because somebody's going to get murdered,
Yeah, one of the best parts of this movie is that this is a really healthy marriage. Like, in a very unhealthy environment, this is a supporting couple. The movie's sort of premise is that, of course, to borrow terminology from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, there is a mole at the circus. And Fassbender has got to figure out who it is, and they suspect it may be his wife. And in the beginning of the movie, you think that he may suspect her.
In the first scene.
Yeah, in the first scene.
Talk about economy of storytelling. It opens on a oneer.
Yeah.
And we literally follow him, Chinatown style, down a street, down an alley, through here, through the doorway, down, up, down, whatever you could say, the Goodfellas Copacabana shot. Yeah. Very much one of those. But it's the notion of, oh, we're going into the depths of the intelligence community, spycraft, whatever. And then he meets the guy he needs the piece of intel from. And the guy goes, you have 5 suspects. Larry, Barry, Jerry, Harry, and your wife. And we're off to the races. Yeah. That's literally like cut to black bag. Like, fuck. Okay.
Something that's cool about it, though, is that you learn pretty early on that whether or not he suspects his wife is less interesting than whether or not it matters to him. Again, this is a loving, supportive couple in their own twisted and deranged way.
I like what you said. So you said it's a happy marriage in an unhappy environment. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the character, it's funny that the marriage itself is the laws of gravity in this film. All the character, not just the characters in the marriage, the husband and wife, but their boss, their subordinates, their coworkers, anybody that we touch in this film. And it's a relatively small cast of characters. It's almost like a whodunit, but they all comment on the marriage. They all comment on that. You two, that's your greatest strength and your greatest weakness, because everybody talks about, and we know this now, ripped from the headlines about compromat and the sort of, the ABCs of how spies interact with the real world, which is you get a piece of dirt on a politician or a powerful person, a general, whatever, someone in real authority. They cheated on their wife. They like little boys. They whatever. It's just, they do drugs. They're something out of the norm that they would be embarrassed by. Then they blackmail them into doing their bidding. Like, that's the essence of pretty much every conspiracy theory that I hear right now, that X foreign government has Y intel on Z American politician, therefore reality, right? So there's a lot of that. And there is a feeling of a big geopolitical thing where they talk about it. Like the MacGuffin in this film is like a piece of technology that could hurt some hundreds of thousands of people, right? So they're all chasing after it. But what you really get is it's a husband and a wife. And, years after making Eyes Wide Shut, he died. When he was talking about the making of Eyes Wide Shut, Kubrick said, this is really about me examining my marriage. I've been married for a long time. It's not that you don't see other people, you don't covet other people, but how do you manage it in a marriage? What do you tell your wife like, oh, that girl's pretty, like, whatever. And so, and what comes out of that is Eyes Wide Shut, right? Like that's what Kubrick spit out of his like marital, like his couples therapy session. But like, I feel like David Koepp and Steven Soderbergh, this is their examination of being an adult and having a long-term relationship. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
Something
I find so funny, by the way, about Eyes Wide Shut is that it's not my favorite
Kubrick
film.
No one ever.
Right. But the thing about it is that, Kubrick made 2001, the very nature of evolution. He made Clockwork Orange, the nature of survival instincts with violence. He made, The Shining. He made all these big subject movies. And at the end of his life, his great message to humanity and his audience was, if you don't want to end up in an underground sex cult murder mystery, you should probably have more sex with your wife. I just find that fantastic. It is the most practical bit of advice that man could have given in a long career of, I would not say him being overly concerned with practical matters.
It's one of my favorites. And some of it is the rewatchable stuff. Like we don't have to go on the whole Kubrick thing, but the notion that, like I've seen Clockwork like 2 or 3 times because it's sort of like a lot to take.
Yeah. Sure.
So Kubrick, that's his examination. Some say Vertigo, and a lot of Hitchcock's movies were examining. He was married for a long time, even though he was sort of, coveting Grace Kelly and coveting Kim Novak and sort of, having a filmic affair with them in some ways. So, they say the deeper that the creator or the writer or the filmmaker goes, the more specific they go, the more of them they put in it, the more universal appeal comes out, right? The ones that don't work are when you're just using your thinking cap and you're like, well, K-pop Demon Hunters is killing it, man. I'm going to do K-pop Spy Hunters, man. What if like Fassbender's really like a punk rock, like underground star, but he's also like a spy, right? You know what I mean? Like it just seems like, as we've said, a soulless cash grab. But this one feels like it's got stuff on its mind. It's talking about human things. It's using genre in a really effective way. All the lavish homage, and it's got all of it, right? It's got the stolen plans and the like intrigue, and there's always a mole. There's always got to be a mole.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put it this way. The greatest praise that I can give to this movie is that the future security of my enjoyment of the motion picture industry relies on them continuing to make movies like this.
Yes.
If it's only Marvel movies, like just like giant big budget action movies, or the smallest independent dramas, I lose what I love about the movies.
This is the intersection, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about that. K-pop Demon Hunter is good for what it is, but since it's appealing to every single living human being on the planet,
correct,
it's really nothing to nobody.
Right.
This movie is doing what you're saying. Splashy, fun genre elements just to bring in, like, I want an entertainment. I want to escape.
Yeah.
With kind of a interesting domestic drama about a couple and sort of their friends, and everybody's having secret affairs with each other, and they're all kind of like looking cockeyed at each other, and it's all very incestuous, right?
Right.
And one of the characters says, they kind of all say the same thing in their own way, which is, how can anybody maintain a relationship in a business where whenever anyone questions where you were that night or what you were doing or why didn't you come home, you can just say black bag and there's no conversation.
I think we should question, how do marriages survive without that? That sounds like the perfect like tool for a marriage. Black bag, baby. Black bag.
Black bag. But black bag, in a way, you're right. I mean, when you are in a marriage and you can just say, trust me.
Yes.
And the other one's like, I do. That's kind of what that is.
And is that what this movie's about? is this movie about marital trust?
It is. I think so. I think they started from the germ of like, how do we tell a story about a long-term marriage? Not get into the kid of it, like, oh, he's in college and this and that and the other, and just make it about how do you maintain a long-term healthy marriage, no kids, double income, blah, blah, blah. And it's not hollow.
Yeah.
You know, the couple, and by the way, couple of just like notables, great music. Soderbergh always delivers with the music, always sexy, stylish, just like swervy, you know, just keeps you going. Like it just fucking locks you in. It's so good. Always like lifestyle porn.
Yes.
Like if I'm married to Cate Blanchett and I'm living in London, that's it. You got the closet, you got the beautiful kitchen, you got the butcher block, you got the gorgeous little indoor garden, cha-cha-cha. Like that's it. That's how you want to do it, right?
And aside from the Bridgerton actor who, even though by the way, this is not the first time he's played this exact role, because he played it in The Gray Man.
Yeah, he's a great rogue.
But there's some amazing casting in this. We haven't even talked about that Pierce Brosnan is in this, and he's phenomenal. And I'm all for the Pierce Brosnan renaissance.
Wouldn't you say that that's the nod? Let's get a James Bond.
He's my James Bond. He's my James Bond.
And he fits in.
Yeah.
Because he's such a great actor. And by the way, talk about a great third act. I mean, the guy's been fucking nailing it. And still looks like a goddamn silver fox, that son of a bitch. Has all his hair, just walking like the fucking cock of the walk through that office, and swings it around.
Yeah. Puts
Fassbender in his place, goes head to head with Blanchett, runs that shit. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Standout.
There's more underrated roles. Like Naomi Harris is a phenomenal actress, also
Always
a Bond alumni, I believe. Isn't she like Penny or whatever from the Daniel Craig series?
Money Penny.
Yeah, she's the new Money Penny. She's phenomenal.
So I think there's like homage abound is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You know?
And then I'm a huge fan of Tom Burke. Tom Burke plays a wonderful role in this movie. He's a real sort of like film nerds actor. I call him like cleft lip actor because there's not that many of them in the industry aside from Joaquin Phoenix.
So he always has a beard or a mustache.
Yeah, but he's great in the role. You know, this thing is just cast so well.
Just for the folks at home, I kind of vaguely knew who he was, but for me, when I saw him in this film, I was like, oh, it's Furiosa's How to Be a Badass Teacher.
That's right.
If you saw Fury Road, the Fury Road, he's the original fucking trucker.
Yes.
He's kind of like, and he's even dressed like Max. He's kind of like, he's the road hog from the old days, and takes Furiosa under his leather-clad arm and sort of like teaches her the road. Very great actor. Really, always those eyes, man. He can steal a scene with just a little like impish look, and they give him a really juicy, fun.
Yes, they do.
Kind of cad, a rogue, a flirt, a ladies' man. Kind of drinks too much, and you know, as I said, it is almost like an Agatha Christie piece, right? Because they're all at the table and it's all like a small cast of characters, and we have our initial reaction to them, then we have a little color that's a little different, then we go this over here, then we realize they're sleeping with this one, so there's a lot of loyalty, and that's a competent filmmaker. Oh, it was this guy because he was passed over for the promotion, right? We all have to figure out, well, why did they murder Mrs. Cavendish in the drawing room, right? And this does that well. They all have a reason to steal the plans. They all have a beef with the couple, a beef with each other, and it's constantly flipping alliances, which is great up till the end.
Yeah, it's kind of like if Clue was a more serious, sexy spy thriller. And by the way, I love Clue. That is no disrespect to Clue. Clue's a great movie.
Yes.
This movie has like really like one of the all-time great awkward dinner movie scenes, like a friends like group dinner.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's a reason for the awkwardness that I forgot was the reason until after the dinner scene. Could we go into spoiler territory a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah, sure. You know what? This movie is so good. It doesn't even matter if you know who done it.
So I'm not going to spoil who done it, but Fassbender's trying to figure out who the mole is, and he's got a group of suspects. So he brings them over to his house for a dinner, and he feeds them a type of truth serum. Like he cooks them dinner and feeds them truth serum, and it leads to an incredibly hostile and awkward dinner.
And Frank,
I forgot that he gave them the serum. So I was just like,
no.
Did you remember
why
the whole
you
time?
forgot?
Yeah, tell me.
Yes, but you know why you forgot? A lot of this movie is casually thrown off. Okay, it's not that it's obscure and you really have to lean in or put the subtitles on for the British, accents or whatever. But it's just his Fassbender's character is not monotone, but to use the analogy of he's the master of the lie detector in the office. He's that guy. His tone and his way is sort of unflappable throughout. So he's preparing a dinner for friends. You'd think nothing of it. It's just, hey, cool couple with a nice house like to entertain for dinner. No shit, right? They bring over all these people. Oh, turns out it's work friends. All right, well, whatever. Then slowly you realize he's like, well, there's a mole. She's like, there is. He's like, don't eat the chicken marsala. Like, that's it. And she's like, why? Oh, I put a little DS9 in it. And it's just a throwaway, Anywhere else they'd be like, you did what? Like, what's wrong with you? But it's like, oh.
Is DS9 the serum, or are we talking a Star Trek reference? And are we going to go in a very different direction here?
He said he called it like DSM-3 or something. Again, lingo.
Yeah.
Could be true or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if the British Intelligence Service uses the term black bag, but it certainly works for our needs.
Yeah.
DSM-19, great. It's the latest shit. We as consumers don't get, but the professional grade guys know it well. It's a truth serum. It is. You just know he's not going to kill them. He's not poisoning them. It's just he's like, and she's like, oh yeah, it's going to get interesting. And then it does. It gets very interesting. And what's great about this movie, I love when they do like bookend stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like calls and responses. So it opens with a dinner scene. And it presents you with, quote unquote, the suspects of the case. And it's funny, too, because my buddy said, oh, well, don't forget the Thin Man in this reference, the husband and wife duo, right? Which is a good one as well. But even he said it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith with like less explosions. But so you open with presenting all the cast of characters, and then immediately the truth serum kicks in, and then you see cast of characters and all the beefs they have with each other, because that's the puppet master. You see that George, the Fassbender character, is a manipulator. He is a tricky little fuck, even though he like always is buttoned down. You even see subtle character stuff where he's a great chef, but he spills just a tiny bit of sauce on his impeccable shirt, and he has to change.
Right.
Like,
and
that tells you everything.
Speaking of bookending, there's a really clever little writing trick in this movie in the very beginning, where in the first scene, he's giving a colleague marital advice. This is a movie about marriage. Like,
they establish it, just going back to that scene. So it's a oneer that ends with this conversation. It's a colleague of his who has some intel that they don't want to talk about at the office. There's a mole. They don't know who to trust, so they don't want to send it in a memo. They don't want to say it in a meeting. They're off grid and they're talking. They're old colleagues, but the other guy is the fallen version of him. You can tell he's smart and he's competent, but he's like, how's your marriage? He's like, not great.
Yeah.
I do. If I fall off the wagon, I can just say black bag. She's not in the business.
Right.
It's very hard to keep your nose clean when you have a complete fucking get out of jail free card.
Yes.
And he's like, how do you do it? So it's the first case in which every single character, including Pierce Brosnan, the bad guy, talk about their marriage, how they kind of, some people envy it, and some people hate it. And then even in the case of the young woman who's sort of the enamored to the whole like being in the spy biz, and she's sort of the low level functionary. Initially, she's like, "Oh God, I wish I had your marriage. You guys are so sexy together." Yeah. And by the end, she's like, "You guys are fucking crazy together." So she's starting to catch up. Like they looked the part, but are they the part? Right?
I think they are. I mean, they're pretty hot to trot for each other.
Well, no, we see that by the end, but we're meant to. We as the audience are meant to question.
Absolutely.
We go. It's Fassbender's movie. She's his wife and a prominent figure, but initially she's almost set up as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I was saying to somebody yesterday, Blanchett is the perfect casting for this because she does femme fatale as good as any living actor right now.
Correct.
And she's done it to a T in any number of other movies. She has that slinky, sexy, you love her, you hate her quality that Soderbergh is playing on. You're like, maybe I don't trust her. Maybe she is pulling a fast one on Fassbender and da-da-da-da-da. So in that first conversation with his colleague, you see that, he's the version of George that failed.
Yeah.
That didn't stay true to his wife, that gave in to the temptations of this business. And it sort of states, this is the movie we're going to watch.
Yeah.
It's about a secret clandestine spy meeting to talk about a mole, genre check. And it's about fidelity in a marriage, in the business of spy, check. That's what the movie's about. And that fella just gives it to us on a plate. And it's not like awkward, like we're going to talk about some serious shit. It's just, and that's why this movie is great. It's a character piece within a genre piece.
Correct. And I think this is a good point before we wrap up to give some recommendations of other movies in this genre, because this is a great genre. My two recommendations are the Philip Seymour Hoffman movie, A Most Wanted Man, which is another John Le Carre.
I never saw it. It was a reco after I watched this movie on the streamer. They were like, "Have you seen this?" And we look at each other like, when did Philip Seymour Hoffman make a spy movie? And we immediately watched it. And we were like, holy shit, this is awesome.
It's more grounded. It's great.
Yeah, way more. Yeah.
And then my other one is I highly recommend the BBC miniseries version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy starring Alec Guinness, which is 6 hours and incredibly slow. But if you just like hearing bureaucrats talk, I cannot more highly recommend it.
Yeah. I agree with both of those. I think that, like I said, it's got a lot of stuff. I think when we talked off mic, in the previous days choosing this film, I thought you were going to come in and like kind of burn it down. Like,
no,
okay, thanks for, blah, blah, blah. Like, for example, I felt that way about Hereditary, right? I watched Hereditary. Yeah. I appreciated the film, but by the end, I literally yelled in the theater. I'm like, thanks, Rosemary's Baby. Yeah. And like 3 guys got it and laughed. Yeah. And all the audience that was under 40 was like, what are you talking about, old man? It's like, oh, so you can, as long as you rip off a thing that's 40 years old, it's yours.
Yeah.
Right? Correct. If you rip off a thing from 5 years ago, they see it coming. But if you're ripping off your childhood obsession and kind of updating it for modern times. So I argue that it's a great genre film. It fits in. And by the way, if Soderbergh is listening, please do a Haywire verse. I want somehow he did a spy movie some years ago that I fucking love. It's called Haywire. And it's with, speaking of Andor and the Star Wars universe, it's with not Ronda Rousey, but
Carla Good. No, that MMA fighter.
Yeah, the wrestler. So he basically found like a charismatic fighter who really is an MMA fighter and taught her how to act. And she's very good in it. And she got a career out of it. But Fassbender and for me, the showpiece of the Haywire film is she goes on a mission with a spy played by Michael Fassbender.
Ooh, doing. I'm watch this.
Oh, you never seen it?
No, I've never.
Oh, shit. Yeah, fuck you. It's Soderbergh. It's doing a spy movie.
Nice.
But more like Bourne. lot of punch, fight, shoot. Not like, the nuclear warheads. It's grounded in like it's a smaller piece. But
well, by the way, Bourne, the second movie, is a spy film. Bourne, the Bourne Supremacy, I think, is the second one. Is a phenomenal movie, and it has one of the all-time great lines of dialogue ever written and delivered by Brian Cox. And he says something like, I didn't shovel shit on 3 different continents to like go down this way. And it's just like, again, we're talking Tony Gilroy, because Tony Gilroy wrote those movies, and Tony Gilroy is kind of the peak of this genre in some ways.
And by the way, Andor is a spy thriller in this genre, and taking the tenets of the thriller, adding a new twist, which would be the sci-fi element. But my favorite Brian Cox quote, of course, is McDonald's.
Yeah, he must have a lot of kids or something.
I think he's got a summer home that's called like the McDonald's Ranch, and I'm all for it. I love the guy, but everybody is firing on all cylinders in this film, from the wardrobe to the lighting to the direction to the writing to the acting to the music. It got robbed of money. It probably will get robbed of awards. It literally came in under the radar. Mm-hmm. I can't speak enough about this film. And it's also, like we said, almost Michael Clayton-esque, and it's so good. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's almost too good for the mass market. I don't know why these films are not, in the 70s, Michael Clayton would have won more Oscars and probably made more money. Same with this film. If this film came out in 1977, it would have won Oscars. Yeah. We've been discussing the passing of Redford, and we're probably going to do a little Redford thing coming up. But I am a huge 3 Days of the Condor fanatic, as I know you are. Another kind of like spy thriller, fun kind of thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Sneakers.
Yes, I've seen Sneakers.
Sneakers. And when I saw Sneakers, it came out, I was a kid. I'm like, oh, this is a fun romp. Everybody's having, it's a spy thing and whatever. And probably one of Sir Ben Kingsley's finest villain performances. But
isn't River Phoenix in Sneakers?
River Phoenix.
Yeah.
Aykroyd, Sidney Poitier, Robert Redford. You're like, what? How did this, and directed by Phil Alden Robinson, who did Field of Dreams and a number of great movies. But like, it's a spy thriller, and there's like stakes, and there's like the MacGuffin with the, the dude, the dongle we're trying to get. But it's more of a romp. And I saw in it like, oh, well, how'd they get Redford in this movie? It's kind of almost like a playful excursion. And it's like, Bob, you did 3 Days of the Condor. Like, let's do a bookend that's like sort of you over your prime. And so they play with him being kind of too old. Yeah. So like they're running into a room and they're trying to like get over a big counter. So like River Phoenix in front of him just vaults it. So he's like, I can do that. And then they have him like fall on his ass. And it's like, it's sort of the I'm too old for this shit spy thriller,
So if you like 3 Days at the Condor, have you heard of the AMC series that lasted for one season called Rubicon?
I do like Rubicon.
Rubicon, yes. I mean, is very much a tribute and homage to Condor. Yeah.
And this is too, I mean, it's all that genre that we love. It's that someone's out to get us. We don't know who it is. This one is much more intimate. That one is more about the anonymous men in the 3-piece suits with the ear thing and, coming to get them. But this one is a chamber piece, you might call it, and well done. High reco. Can't talk about it enough. Black Bag was the best.
Well, Alex, we should wrap this up before your battery drains out of your camera or your laptop. Great chat as always. And I think we won't confirm it right now, but I'm thinking Robert Redford next week. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it while it's still fresh in people's minds. It's funny how you can tell
while the body's still fresh.
Well, you know what it is? It's while the social media residue still sticks. Like the reason I saw Sneakers is because YouTube shows movies, with ads, and it served it up. I'm like, oh, I haven't thought about that movie in 20 years, and just watched it. I was like, oh my God, what a great, like, it just hit just right. Like, it's him being a movie star, but kind of playing with his image. And Poitier, like, when does Poitier have fun? Like, all his movies have value and like deep, resonance. And he's like, hey, I'm just going to.
If you ever want to wake up and feel good in the morning, just watch Sidney Poitier slap a white man. It is just like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's one scene in it of that where he gets to do a little bop, but like and that's what it is. It's a loving, like this film. It's when you're working with actors that have a screen persona, like movie stars like Poitier and Redford, you're almost obliged to wink at it. Yeah. And you either acknowledge it and perpetuate it, or you acknowledge it and subvert it. And I think for Poitier, they perpetuated it. They let him still be like, somebody calls him an off-color name, and then 5 minutes later he gets to knock him out. But like with Redford, it was like, oh, can't run quite as fast as he did in that Thriller, and he can't jump the counter like he used to in that other thing. And so in this, like I said, Fassbender and Blanchett, movie stars of our time. We've had them in our lives for 15, 20 years. They both started young and sort of doing whatever, and then have really developed old school movie star personas. She has her femme fatale speed. She can do like nobody else. He has his cold burn, like, he may explode at any moment thing going on. So like Soderbergh is really, it almost feels like they wrote it for them,
Yeah. Also, to wrap this up, Fassbender is doing what Tom Cruise refuses to do, which is age gracefully. Age into roles that are age appropriate. I would love to see Tom Cruise in a role like this. I'm actually a huge fan of Tom Cruise. I think that man can act.
He definitely can act. Somebody said something interesting about that. I thought it was Cameron Crowe, who's a big fan, obviously, from Jerry Maguire, and lesser known but equally beloved Vanilla Sky. He said, "Look, he knows he's getting there, so that's why these movies are bigger and better and wider and louder and whatever." He's like, "I know Tom. He's pushing it to the max while he can, and within the next year or two, he's going to make that Connery flip into Hunt for Red October. He's going to just nudge it over, grow a beard, wear a suit, let the younger gun come in and do the karate chopping, and he'll just be the wise, steal all the scenes and steal the movie like Connery did in that example, but the middle-aged sort of Lion in Winter era we're waiting for. Yeah.
All right, Alex, great chat as always. Again, this is the How I Got Greenlit podcast. Guys, rate, review us, the whole deal. Next week, Robert Redford.
Bob.
All right, later.
See ya.